Today we're talking about 5 mistakes that almost every new filmmaker does, and most importantly, how to fix them. I've been there. We all start somewhere, and if you can catch these 5 mistakes as early, you will save ton of time and frustration. Let's get it. Mistake number 1. Focusing too much on gear. Now hold on, before you attack me, let's talk about this. Yes, gear is important, don't get me wrong. I'm not agreeing with those people who say, oh, gear doesn't matter. Gear does matter, but there are levels to this. Most new filmmakers think that they need all the latest, all the greatest, and everything that every professional filmmaker uses for them to progress, and that is a lie. That's where gear does not matter. When you begin your journey, that's where the gear does not matter. Every new filmmaker needs to understand the cameras and learn to use them. And I would even promote buying something cheaper and maybe worse than on what's on today's standard, and trying to bring the quality of your work up to today's standard, even using the older gear. Let me give you an example of my own. I started filming with Canon 600D. That was like many years ago. But then my first full-frame camera was Sony a7 III. And I was pushing Sony a7 III for so long and for such high standards that people were saying I'm filming with FX3. And then I upgraded to FX3 when I heard that people were thinking that my a7 III footage looked like FX3. So how did that help me? Well, first of all, it helped me to understand the camera's settings at the best knowledge that I could understand it. I learned to use them. I learned to navigate through certain situations when filming in low light and in bright scenarios. I realized what every setting does, what needs to be tweaked to keep the best quality, and also the post-production part as well. I used to bring my Sony a7 III, which is 7 or 8-year-old camera, to 10,000 ISO, and my footage wasn't grainy. And why? Because I learned how to grade bad footage. I learned how to not break the footage and try to make it as usable as possible. And the funny thing is that when I switched to FX3, I didn't feel such a massive jump in quality. Yes, of course, FX3 is incredible. You can't compare it to a7 III in any way. However, because I pushed my a7 III and the knowledge of filmmaking so much with that camera, when I moved to FX3, I didn't really feel much different. Like, yes, I have 60 frames, I have 120 frames, 4K quality, great. But I was able to do almost everything with my a7 III. I never used slow motion because I just didn't want to compromise the quality. So maybe the best part was getting a nice, decent 4K slow motion with FX3. Of course, dual native ISO, all the good stuff. FX3 is a beast, don't get me wrong. But now I need to learn again and bring my level even higher so I can actually feel the big difference between a7 III and FX3, because I worked so much on a7 III and I perfected the camera and perfected the video editing on that camera that now I need to do exactly the same on FX3. And even if I'm classing myself as a professional, I still need to learn. We learn every day. So the gear does not matter when you begin filmmaking. I get so many messages every week saying, oh, I want to start filmmaking, blah blah blah, but I don't have money or something like that. And just think, every single one of you are carrying a better camera in your pocket today than the best cinematographers, your favorite directors when they started. Your phone camera is much better than what Hollywood movies were shot back in the days. Can you comprehend that? So don't tell me you don't have money for the camera. You have a phone that you're texting me from. Use that as a camera and learn from there. You don't need to buy latest and greatest straight away. You need passion to actually progress in this industry. Okay, mistake number 2, and this is a big one again: shooting without a plan. I've been there, we all been there. It is always a thing. Let's just shoot and see what happens. And this is the worst thing that filmmakers can do. Now, don't get me wrong, there are certain scenarios where you are okay shooting without a plan. But it's kind of a contradictory because you know you're gonna be shooting without a plan and you're planning to shoot without a plan, if that makes sense. So you still think about every single scenario where you need something and every single corner to cover, even when shooting without a plan. So my cinematography and my filmmaking when I started actually considering what I'm gonna shoot, not just going and shooting. Because I promise you, every single time when I went without a plan, I things up. Honestly. It is what it is. You need to figure out the shots you want to take. You need to figure out the mood you want to represent. You have to figure out the lighting. You have to figure out the daytime you're shooting in. Everything needs to be considered. Everything needs to be planned out. The script needs to be there if you're trying to tell some kind of a story. Don't just go in freestyle, because yes, something might come out nice of it, but most likely it won't. Mistake number 3. Over-editing. When you're starting out, it's easy to get caught up in the transitions, effects, speed ramps, all the flashy stuff, but often it distracts more than it adds. When I was starting out, that's exactly what I thought. Okay, I need to make the video look as complicated as possible for it to be good. Today, after many years of experience, I'm enjoying the most simple cuts and the most simple flow in the video. However, I'm trying to perfect the shots in camera rather than the massive complicated editing in post-production. Don't get me wrong, you need to learn the complicated stuff, but it doesn't mean that every single project needs to be complicated. Learn the complexity of editing. I'm not saying you not to do that, but you need to figure out when it's okay to put all those effects and when it isn't. Every single project, every single shoot has its own vibe. Every single production has a different result that you're trying to achieve with. So you need to figure out where is the right time to use flashy stuff and when is the right time to use in-camera filmmaking, when you're nailing the shots and not relying on heavy editing. And yes, in social media world today, the flashy means the better, because that's what catches your eyes. It is easier to make something flashy go viral than make something very high quality go viral. However, complex editing and perfect in-camera shots, they both have their place in filmmaking industry. Mistake number 4. Not thinking about sound design. People, I promise you, when you start paying attention to sound design and when you start implementing sound design in your videography, your video quality will grow by at least 50%. I always say sound design is probably half of the work of the video. And why is that? Because sound design creates the atmosphere. The viewer understands where they are, what's happening. We have all these senses. We have smell, we have vision, we have hearing. We can't implement smell in the videos, and maybe thank God for that, but we have to utilize the other two. We always watching, so that's a given. You're gonna be utilizing the vision when watching these videos, but then don't let hearing to wander. Make your viewer to pay attention with their eyes and with their ears. I can guarantee you, when you start doing sound design, you will think that your video is just progressed by a mile. Mistake number 5. Thinking that every project has to be perfect. And hey, I'm struggling with this myself. It's been years when I'm contradicting myself and trying to prove to myself that the project is good enough to be released for the public to watch. Perfectionism is a killer. It stops people from starting, from finishing, and from sharing their work. You keep tweaking, and all of a sudden the project never sees day of light. So the fix here is simple. Done is better than perfect. That's what I'm trying to tell myself all the time. There's been so many times when I started something and I hated it and I never posted. Or also there were so many times where I hated something and I still posted, and all of a sudden that video has 1 million views. That's literally one of my latest most viral videos on Instagram. I didn't like it. I thought, okay, it's shit. But I thought, it, I'll post it on TikTok, because TikTok for me is like a garbage can. I'm not tolerating TikTok at all. I hate it. I'm just posting because I have to, in a way, because filmmakers, they have to have all the socials. And I posted it on TikTok and I got like 200k views in the first 2 days. And I was like, okay, maybe I was wrong. You know what? Let me try to post it on Instagram. 1.2 million views and 7,000 subscribers later, I was like, damn, maybe I shouldn't judge my work too soon. Maybe I should just try to post it and see what happens. You can always delete something, don't worry. But what this situation taught me was that maybe I shouldn't judge my work too soon and just try sometimes, because you never know what can happen. The world's opinion is not based on your opinion. What you think is bad, the world might think is good. It's nothing wrong about being a perfectionist. However, it has to be a healthy perfectionism, if that makes any sense. You have to understand that you might not think this is your best work. However, that piece of content teaches you a lot about yourself, about your filmmaking, and about the future that you're heading to. You need to learn from your work, and you have to share your work to actually get the feedback and see what people like, what people don't like. Maybe your opinion is just simply wrong. You never know. So yeah, these are the 5 big ones. But honestly, mistakes are part of the process. You just need to learn fast and move forward. Let me know in the comments if any of these hit home, or if there is a mistake that you made that taught you something huge. It's been your boy Elvis Creative. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, like it, share it with your friends, drop a comment, give me suggestions for the future videos, and I will see you next Wednesday, 5 p.m. sharp. Peace.